Hi everybody, I am Lady Stars on Fire. My real name is Michelle Espinosa, and this is the weekly healing messages for October 15th through the 21st. If you see me looking down, it's because I have some information here from my notes that I'm using to remind me, or from my notes or my phone, either way. So that's basically what I'm doing. I'm looking down to remind myself of some of the stuff I want to say. But before I go into the weekly healing messages for this week, and I give you the rune cast and astrology and whatever information I was given by Spirit, I want to remind you, please, on the 22nd of every month, I support a global healing event. Basically, you can do it from your own home. It just has to do with healing energy, sending healing energy, positive vibrations on the 22nd of every month. And that's coming up right now. So it's called Nobody Suffers Alone Anymore. And please check my website to help you understand how it works, because it works with angel numbers and it actually works with the angels themselves. So it takes place throughout the whole day, and there is no time zone because it's working with the angel numbers themselves. Please check out my website at ladystarsanfire.com. Just go to the global healing event and it will tell you all about it. Again, that's on the 22nd. And also, please check out fxbgpublicradio.com for Otherland Dreams. That's my new show. I have the show with Hill Hippie that we do every Tuesday night, Otherland Dreams at 10 o'clock at night. So please check that out. And you can always go back and check it out if you missed it at the time that it was live. With that being said, I'm going to give you this week's runes. The runes are Othala, Awaz, and Nathis. I'm going to learn to talk. I swear, one of these days I'm going to. But the highest vibration that is coming in for the runes is Othala. And it is the rune of sacred space. See, the way the runes are given to me this week is the highest vibrational energy is Othala. That is where we're trying to get to. And then Iwaz and Nathis are bringing us to the understanding of what the energies are we have to work through in order to get truly into Othala. And Othala speaks to us of sacred space. It's our ancestral energies. It's our heritage, our homeland. It is also our property. But it is the importance of the big issues. It speaks to us of the entire picture. You hear me say often when I talk about Othala, it's like, don't look at the wall. Don't look at the picture on the wall. Look at the entire wall. Look at the entire wall and everything that's on it, and read the whole story. Not just the picture that's on the wall. Or even better example, look out your window and actually look at the entire world. What does that have to do with you and your life? Don't look at the small picture. We need to look at the big issues here, because it's speaking to us of our social boundaries. It's speaking to us of our own true leadership, of finding our soulful place within this world. Othala also is wealth, property, and power, but it speaks to this. This is the home. Not the body, the soul that's inside. And even the body can't be taken from you. You can't lose your self-respect. You can't lose your self-worth. You can't lose any of that unless you choose to give it away. It is part of who you are. It's inherited with who you are. The only way you lose that is if you gave that power away. And if you did, then it's time to reclaim it. And with that being said, it brings us to Iwaz and it brings us to Nathis. Nathis is going to be speaking to us of dealing with the resistance and the friction of karmic obstacles that we don't really like to deal with. We don't want to have to overcome, but we have to in order to move on. It reminds us that every challenge is nothing more than our hidden strengths. Basically, it is realizing that what we thought we lacked was already part of us and in us. This is all helping us get to Othala. But it reminds us that we need to get rid of the cold. We're warming the cold. We're letting go of the karmic obstacles that kept us cold. We're bringing fire back into our soul and allowing that healing to take place. With that, it brings us to Iwaz. And this speaks to points of discipline. It speaks to the fact that we are overcoming those deprivations and those hardships. This is all part of how we pass through, the regeneration cycles of life and death. This is about death. This is about letting go. This is about moving forward. But in order to move forward, honey, you've got to allow the death to happen. So it speaks to us of having the commitment of actually making the move forward. So we have to find within that the strength. And then that brings us the reliability and the dependability and the faith as we move forward so that the death can take place. The rite of passage is the death, so that the new can begin, bringing us back into our full power of Othala. Now, that was the rune cast for this week. I am being given from Spirit, and they've been coming in hard on this. I've been being given the lionfish is what they're giving me for like a spirit guide this week. And first off, lionfish is going to be speaking to us of our inner waters, our emotional and our mental depths, as well as physical, because it is our inner waters. And I say it is because typically you wouldn't think of physical with the lionfish necessarily, because his inner water is emotional and mental, but it speaks to us. The lionfish speaks to us of facing our dangers. It does speak to us of hidden peril against our own well-being. Basically, standing up for yourself and standing your ground and not being swayed. But like I said, there is a hidden peril there. There is something there that's going against our well-being, and we need to know how to stand up strongly for it. But we are being told with this, you need beauty. You need beauty in order to overcome this. And I will say this has to do with Venus being in retrograde. Okay, it does have to do with Venus being in retrograde, because Venus in retrograde is touching on those sensitivities of what needs to be healed. Okay, and so that brings us into our emotional waters. But I know the lionfish is also reminding us of things that are of hidden peril within our own life on a physical level that could screw up our well-being. So the body itself and our actual third dimensional life itself of messing up that our well-being within that third dimensional level. So this is speaking to us of finding beauty, finding love, finding forgiveness, finding, glory within the things that you may not normally find, looking for the higher vibration to help move you away from those hidden perils. Okay, so again, it's like I always say, when you can, I know we have to stay in the third dimensional world because this is where actual existence takes place for us. It's where the physical I can touch and is tangible is within our life, but when you can mentally get out of that third dimensional world and lift yourself into that higher existence, that higher dimension, it's going to bring you so much more soulfully connected to the synchronicities that will help you stay away from those hidden perils. Okay, I am also being given, and the reason I say it brings into the physical is because this has to do with what you're creating. Because even though I'm being given the lionfish, because I'm definitely seeing it as a fish and swimming, they also kind of, with a trickery, are giving me like the tarantula, which means this also has spider energy in it. So it is talking about your past, your present, and your future, your now. It is talking about what you are creating. So, like I said, if you can get yourself, to like that fifth dimensional self to be speaking to your third dimensional self, it will help you move along and away from those hidden perils. Because I am definitely getting the two, and they're intertwining in a strange way. Anyway, with that being said, I want to remind everybody, this isn't part of this week's healing messages, but it is important because November 9th, Jupiter is making its yearly move into Sagittarius. Okay, Jupiter moves once a year, but it takes 12 years for it to go all the way around the chart and come back to its home sign, which is Sagittarius. Okay, it has not been in Sagittarius for 12 years. So if you can remember what happened in your life at the end of 2006, the beginning of 2007, or almost all the way through 2007, because I think Jupiter actually moved in to Sagittarius like in November of 2006. Anyway, the idea here is to understand that the vibrational energy that will be starting to come in somewhat has to do with that same kind of energy that you may have been feeling during 2006 at the end and 2007. So this gives you an idea of that vibrational energy that's going to be coming your way, because as we all know, Jupiter is the magnet. Jupiter is abundance. Jupiter is higher knowledge. And the way I see it is when Jupiter's in Sagittarius, Jupiter is basically speaking to your higher self. Your higher self of, the highest authentic self of who you are. However, are you listening is the key. Because it will be having a conversation again with the conversation that it had with the North Node in Pisces back in 2006 and 7, with the conversation it had in Neptune in Aquarius back in 2006 and 7, as well as with the conversation it had with Lilith back in Libra back in 2006 and 7. So this is going to also be dealing with your relationships, because Lilith was in Libra at that time. Neptune was in Aquarius at that time, and Jupiter was having these conversations. So even though they've shifted now, it's going to be reevaluating those conversations. And with Aquarius and Neptune, this brings on a whole new style of magic, a whole new style of creation. But it really depends on if you were in a positive place. Because if you weren't in a positive place, I promise you, back then, that Jupiter would have been bringing you more of that lack of positivity, because it was trying to get it through your head of what you soulfully needed to move forward. So I'm trying to help you see where this might be going if you didn't learn the lesson. Because if you didn't learn the lesson will return. And it will have something to do with making sure you got it from here to here right this time, so your authentic self can truly move forward. So this has to do with just trying to help you along. But Jupiter is abundance and a magnet. His magic is higher and more powerful than pretty much anybody else's. So with that knowledge, we'll talk about that more as we come closer to that actually taking place. But remember, Jupiter is leaving Scorpio and about to enter Sagittarius. So it's going to start picking up those strange vibrations at the same time. It will be giving you that, as I like to say, the smackdown of, oh my God, like 3 weeks left to get this year's information through your head. So if you didn't learn what it had to tell you in Scorpio, these next 3 weeks, you're going to learn it, because it's going to make sure that it gives you the smackdown of what you needed to learn. And that also has to do with relationships, too, what they're responsible for, such as taxes, children, home in general. What is responsible to, what responsibilities are there to the relationship. And in Scorpio, it's about life, death, and rebirthing. Basically, it's also about fertility. So where are you not getting those proper messages that Jupiter was trying to magnify in your life? Because these are the last 3 weeks, it's got to get it through your thick head. With that being said, we have, sorry, I'm on the wrong week of my information. I also want to remind you, Uranus is in RX, which is in retrograde, and we all knew that. It was in Taurus. However, it's coming very close to the cusp, because on November 6th, also 3 days before Jupiter moves, Uranus will be moving back into Aries. So these are going backwards. This is going backwards so that it can restart properly from what it's learning while it's in retrograde when it comes out of retrograde. So that's just a reminder as well. The sun moves into Scorpio on the 23rd, which is Tuesday next week. And it's going to incredibly help magnify Scorpio while Jupiter is still there. And Venus and Mercury. It's going to be a completely loaded sign. And I've been saying all the power is coming out of Libra and Scorpio right now. Even if it's talking to Capricorn, where Saturn and Pluto are. I'm telling you, the power is coming from that universal 6th and 7th house of Libra and Scorpio. Now, with that being said, Scorpio, like I said, is a power play right now. Scorpio is being magnified by Jupiter in such a way of abundance that's coming in, but it's speaking to Venus, and it's magnifying Venus and it's magnifying Mercury while it's there in that universal 8th house. Again, this is about recreating. This is about rebirthing. This is about letting something die and letting something new begin. And in that 8th house, it's about coming into a new level of responsibilities for what those relationships and what the relationships are responsible for. So you've got Venus, which is, these are your positives, okay, everybody? Venus is trining Neptune. So Neptune is in the universal 12th house. It's trying to give you the opportunity to create new. Okay, it's trying to give you the opportunity to create new with Venus's sensitivity, finding new ways to communicate positively and charm your way into the healing that needs to be made within your life, to correct the things that were incorrect, because you're leaving the 12th house. That's what this is all about. If it's talking to Neptune, it's talking to that 12th house of how can we recreate and heal what has been in our past, what we've been in denial about, so that we can, start our new house and start all over again. So we're learning how to touch its sensitivities on our emotional and our physical and our spiritual levels, as well as mental. It's learning what is good for us and what isn't. Since Venus is going to tell you, "Ooh, I love these things," and I don't want anything to do with that. And if it doesn't want anything to do with that, remember, there's always a root to the problem. Don't point fingers. Don't point fingers, because that's not going to get you anywhere. You may be able to point fingers as pinpoint what made you feel uncomfortable, but from there, it's pointing at yourself about why it was uncomfortable, so that you can learn how to make it uncomfortable now, so that you can learn to heal it and move forward. This is a positive thing, because Neptune is giving you the ability to recreate in a whole new healthy way with Venus's energy. Venus is also sextiling Saturn, which is backing up that very energy of being able to set new rules, walls, and boundaries. So this is a great time in our outer community, as well as within our outer community, our friends, our goals, our dreams, our wishes, also our jobs, our careers. So being able to set the rules, walls, and boundaries that you need, not that they need, that you need, honey, to make work for you in your life. And that right there is the key. Many people think they have to do what the world around them wants us to do. No. You have to do what's right for you. And you have to have the balls enough to stand up and say, "I'm not going to do that because it's not going to work for me," in a positive way of being healthy without being egotistical, but being soulfully for the right reasons. If you can't be good to you, how are you going to be good to them? It's that simple. Now, you also have Mercury, which is sextiling Pluto as well. So communication is coming in Venus and trying to help you charm and find new ways. Some of you might want to be looking at bees for a spirit guide, considering they just flew in front of me and landed on the camera and everything else. Because what it is I'm getting the yellow jacket. Anyway, just in case, for those of you who follow your animal spirit guides, you might want to look up that bee medicine. But Pluto is about death, decay, and destruction, rebirth, renewal, regeneration. And talking to Mercury is giving you the power of speech, the power of communication, the power of understanding how to make this connection work so that you can let something die and you can bring new birthing forward as you try to make these changes and move forward. And Jupiter is sextiling Chiron. Not sextiling, it's trining Chiron. So the wounded healer, the gatekeeper of wholeness, speaking to Jupiter, is backing up this energy, trying to help you find what didn't work and what you need to make the changes for, so that you can have the balls to stand up. And, like I said with that lionfish, it's about making sure that you are not swayed away from what it is you need. So Jupiter and Chiron is backing up this energy in a very positive way to make you move forward. Then you also have Neptune and Pluto, which are sextiling each other. So magic itself is sextiling the ability to let something die and make something new happen. So this is a very positive thing. However, I will get into some of the negatives coming out of Scorpio. Scorpio is still squaring Mars and Lilith. And that north, Mars, Lilith, and the south node. The south node is ultimately can become our undoing. We've gotten entirely way too comfortable with the energy that's going on in Capricorn with that energy of Mars your rules, not your rules, that's your warrior. It's your inner SWAT team. Your inner SWAT team, your inner warrior, your passion, your aggression, your action, your fire has gotten very good at standing up for itself or passionately going forward, but maybe not exactly in the most soulful way. Maybe not for the most healthy ways. Maybe it got some egotistical energy up in there. Because the South Node is saying, we've gotten really, really good at making these changes as far as the warrior goes. With Lilith backing up that energy. And I said that we're going to be feeling Lilith energy is going to be talking to Jupiter as it moves into next month and starts that whole new year. Lilith is already starting, okay? So Lilith ain't nobody going to tell me what the hell I can and can't do. All I'll do is I damn well please. And that's the energy that Lilith has. Speaking to your warrior, your inner SWAT team, and the South Node, there's something there you've gotten incredibly good at, but it doesn't serve you. And you need to learn what it is that doesn't serve you, because directly across from that South Node and this energy is the North Node, which is reminding you, this is what's not working for you. You need to learn how to move in this other direction. So we want to stay away from what it is we've gotten so good at that's no longer serving us. And we need to reevaluate that. Now, you also have, as this is happening in Aquarius, you're going to be feeling those energies, especially on the 17th, 18th, and 19th of this week. But you also will have the moon traveling through that energy, which will heighten that energy on a whole nother level, because it's going to speak to your emotional depths during the 16th, 17th, and the 18th, when Mars and Lilith and Mars, Lilith, the moon, and the South Node going to be a little tweaked to see if that ego will come out and see if you'll continue to do what no longer serves you, because you're used to it, more or less, instead of stepping up to the plate and soulfully having to do what's right. Okay, there's a difference between doing what's right and doing what you want. Sometimes what you want and what's right works, but sometimes it's about evolving on a higher spiritual level. Okay, this is why I said the lionfish was being brought in this week. There's a hidden peril here that can go against you. Okay, so we have to remember that. And we need to view things with beauty, with joy, with love, with glory, and find ways to overcome them in a happy, shiny way. And I'm just giving you what Spirit is giving me. Now, with that being said, you also have Taurus and Uranus, the moon, in Aquarius as it's moving through, and Saturn in Cap is going to be having a conversation also, because they are not going to be getting along. Okay, so your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom, your rules, your walls, your boundaries, and your emotions are all going to be having a high level tweaked energy on the 19th that may go against you. And I'm warning you that this is a day for you to soulfully make sure you step up to the plate, not egotistically. Now, with that being said, we also have a grand trine this week, though, where this is working for you. Chiron, Jupiter, and the North Node are all working together, and it is lasting all week. I did not check how long it lasts, but that's a very positive energy. Chiron is your wounded healer. It is the gatekeeper of wholeness, speaking to Jupiter, which is like the godfather of soulfulness, okay? And the abundance and the knowledge you need to actually get there and be able to speak to the true gatekeeper of wholeness, so that you can find what is lacking in there. And it's speaking to the North Node about everything you need to know about stepping forward if you're doing it from a soulful point of view. So this is a very positive energy to help move us in a positive way. However, we do have challenges this week, and I will not lie. You also have Scorpio, and Venus itself is in opposition of Uranus. Now, do not forget, Uranus, like I said, is in retrograde. It is only a couple weeks away from moving back into Aries. So it is also going to be giving you the smackdown over these next 2 weeks of what you haven't been learning in retrograde in Taurus. Okay? Taurus is self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. It's also the bull. So it's about being bullheaded for the right or the wrong reasons. And it's also about our possessions, our small possessions, such as our phone, things that we care about that are small but important to our everyday. Okay? Self-worth, self-value, self-esteem are going to be the higher hidden peril kinks here. Okay? Because Uranus is our independence, our individuality, our uniqueness, and our freedom. Where is our freedom feeling in jeopardy? Where do we feel caged? Okay? Because it is going to be speaking directly to Scorpio and what makes you feel uncomfortable within those sensitivities, especially within the relationships and what those relationships are responsible for. How is it that you're uncomfortable about the deaths that need to happen so the rebirthing can? Where is your lack of faith? Where is your lack of hope? So that where are you feeling caged like you don't have any option? Because Venus is going to be touching place on that this week, okay? Now, you also have Chiron is squaring Saturn. So Chiron, the wounded healer, is more or less telling Saturn, its rules, walls, and boundaries, yo, you're out of place. You're not right. Something about you and your rules, your walls, and your boundaries are no longer serving this person. And we need to stop and look at what it is it's not serving. We need to muster the energy and the courage and the faithfulness to be able to start to replace those rules, walls, and boundaries into proper new healthy places as we move forward. Now, like I said, it's not exactly the comfortable way. You're going to be uncomfortable because sometimes in order to move forward, you have to be a little uncomfortable, honey. You also have, don't forget that Ceres and the Sun are in, Ceres and the Sun in Libra also has Haumea there. And most people are not going to be talking about Haumea. Haumea is your collective consciousness in the universal 7th house of Libra. Right there speaks to us of what is in and what is out of balance within our relationships. And everything you care about is a relationship, baby. Every single thing. Whatever you care about. Your friends, your family, your loved ones, your children. Those are all relationships too. But your home that you live in. Your environment that you're part of. Your working environment. Your working friends. Your car. Your bank. Your bank account. All of these are relationships that you care about. You care about having money. When you have no money, you know about no money. Okay? So, you're talking about your collective consciousness, your Ceres, which is your threefold theory. It is too close to home energy. It is, how are you properly nourishing yourself or others? And how were you nourished versus how you are doing it now? Were you getting what you needed then? Are you acting the same as then? Or have you learned to evolve and be better than that? Are you nourishing yourself properly as well as others? Were you nourished? This has to do with self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. This also has to do with neglect, okay, within those relationships. Children also, and child neglect within these relationships is also going to be coming up. And it is speaking with Uranus. Where are you being put in a cage and uncomfortable because you feel like your freedom is being taken from you because of the relationships? These are going to be key points that are going to be coming in. Because like I said, it is your collective consciousness that is sitting on top of Ceres and the Sun. So it's bringing the illumination forward so the changes have to happen. It's not because we want them to happen. It's because it has to happen. Okay? So these are uncomfortable points, but there's reasons behind these points. If we can seek and soulfully listen to what the universe is trying to teach us as we move forward, it makes it easier. That's at least how I see it. Don't forget also that you have Ceres, the Sun, and Haumea is also squaring Pluto. So, like I said, this is your collective consciousness of what you know needs to happen within those relationships, within the karmic energy, within those relationships, within the illumination of what's being shown to you within these relationships, where it is you don't want to change, where you're fighting the change is going to be presenting itself more because it's trying to force you to see the change that must happen so that it can move forward in a positive way. Pluto is all about soulful higher understanding, higher knowledge of change for evolution. Okay, so when Ceres the Sun and Haumea in Libra of our relationships is squaring Pluto, this has to do with this must change. Okay, and it's saying that the new birthing must happen, but with it at a square, it's saying that you're uncomfortable with it, that you're not you're not trying to, you're trying to avoid it, and the avoiding is not going to happen. It's going to happen, so you might as well get on board and find out how to do it healthy. Okay, and basically, I mean, things are really going well, except for sensitivity is always on high alert because Venus is in retrograde, loves. I love you, and it is magnified by Jupiter. But trust me, if you learn these lessons this month, the Venus is trying to teach you, trying to help you overcome as you move forward. Once Jupiter moves into Sagittarius, it's going to be so much sweeter because she's already done half the work for you. I love you. Don't forget to check out the radio show at FXPG Public Radio on Tuesday nights. It's called Otherland Dreams at 10 o'clock. And please take place with the Nobody Suffers Alone Anymore healing event, global healing event on the 22nd of every month. And you can find out more information about that by checking out my website, ladystarsonfire.com. I love you. Bye, everybody.